Have you ever wondered what separates a good social worker from a truly effective one? It's not just heart, it's vocabulary. Yep, your power lies in knowing the language of the field. Welcome to the Social Work Survival Guide. Essential terms you must know to pass the exam and rock the field. Whether you're studying for your license exam or serving your community, every word we cover today is a tool in your toolkit. So grab a pen, get cozy, and let's turn these terms into real-life wisdom. First up, accessibility. Sounds like a buzzword, but it's way more than that. Picture this. A client in a wheelchair arrives at your agency, but there's no ramp. They leave, frustrated, unheard. That is a failure in accessibility. Accessibility means making sure services, environments, and resources are usable by everyone. In short, it is the ability to get and receive available services. It ensures equity. It says, "You belong here, no matter your challenges." A social worker ensures the counseling center offers ramps, braille materials, and even a sign language interpreter. That's accessibility in action. Ever hear someone say, "Make sure your degree is accredited"? That's not just advice, it's a lifeline. Accreditation is the official stamp that a program meets high-quality standards. If your school isn't accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, CSWE, you might not qualify for licensure. Would you trust a doctor who didn't go to an accredited school? Probably not. Same goes for social workers. Now here is where the cape comes out. Advocacy is using your voice to lift up someone else's. Think of being in the megaphone for the voiceless. A social worker rallies support, calls shelters, and talks to city agencies to get housing for a homeless family. That's advocacy. Not just talk, but action. Why it is critical? Well, advocacy challenges systems that keep people stuck. It's where compassion meets justice. And that's just the beginning. You've just learned how to open the door, certify your path, and raise your voice. But we're just getting warmed up. In the next scene, we'll dive into best practices, caseloads, and the heartbeat of case management. Stick around, because every term you learn brings you closer to passing that exam and making a real impact. Let's start with this golden phrase, best practice. Sounds fancy, right? But here's what it really means. Best practice is simply using the methods that have been proven to work, backed by research, tested by real-world application. You don't want to guess with people's lives. You want confidence that what you're doing works. Imagine you're working with survivors of trauma. Instead of winging it, you use trauma-informed care, a model built on safety, trust, and empowerment. That's best practice. Best practices equals best outcomes. Don't reinvent the wheel. Ride the one that's already rolling. Next up, caseload. Simple word, serious impact. Caseload is the number of clients or cases you're actively managing. A school social worker manages a caseload of 20 students. She triages based on need. Some kids need daily check-ins, others just weekly encouragement. Think of your caseload like juggling. Each client is a ball. If you have too many, something will drop. All right, now let's bring it all together with the glue that holds services together. Case management. It is the process of assessing, planning, and coordinating services for a client. Think of it as the GPS for their journey. A social worker helps a client in recovery get housing, connects them to a job training program, and ensures they attend AA meetings. That's full-circle case management. Clients don't just need support. They need organized, connected support. Otherwise, they fall between the cracks. On the exam, case management is about coordination, not control. Now let's talk about your moral compass, the code of ethics. This isn't just rules, it's your shield and your guide. It is a set of standards and values that direct your professional behavior. Developed by NASW, the Code of Ethics includes big themes like service, social justice, dignity, integrity, and competence. A client shares something very private, but it's not life-threatening. You keep it confidential. Why? Because your code tells you to. What would you do if a client confesses to something illegal but not harmful to others? The Code of Ethics is your legal and moral protection. It builds trust and keeps your practice grounded. When in doubt, the code clears the route. Now you've unlocked 4 key tools of the profession: methods that work, balance that matters, strategies that guide, and values that protect. These aren't just terms, they're lifelines, and every social worker who knows them is one step closer to passing the exam and changing lives. Up next, we'll expose the hidden traps, from codependency to conflict of interest, and teach you how to spot them before they take you off track. Let's kick off with a sneaky trap. Codependency. It's a dysfunctional relationship developed between individuals where one individual prioritizes the other individual's needs over their own. A woman who constantly lies for her partner who's struggling with alcoholism, calling his job, covering his absence, cleaning up the aftermath. She thinks she's helping, but she's actually enabling. Recognizing codependency helps you break destructive cycles and offer real solutions, not band-aids. Have you ever seen someone help in a way that actually hurt? Look for signs of enabling behaviors when working with families affected by substance abuse or mental illness. Next, from dysfunction to empowerment, let's talk community development. This is the process of helping communities improve their social, economic, and environmental well-being from the inside out. A social worker launches a neighborhood cleanup program, partners with local businesses for job training, and brings people together for a block meeting. That's transformation, grassroots style. This is not about fixing a community for them. It's about helping them fix it with you. Now let's shift into sacred territory, confidentiality. The ethical duty to protect a client's private information. Without confidentiality, trust collapses. If your clients don't feel safe opening up, you can't help them heal. A client discloses past trauma during therapy. The social worker documents the session securely and only shares relevant info with a supervisor when necessary, and with permission. If you're ever unsure whether to disclose information, default to protecting privacy unless safety is at risk. What should you do if a family member asks for details about a client's progress? You thank them for caring, but explain confidentiality protects everyone involved. Finally, let's tackle a boundary blurrier: conflict of interest. It is when your personal interests, relationships, or gain interfere with your professional judgment. You're asked to provide counseling for your cousin's teenager. Sure, you care about them, but that closeness could cloud your objectivity. It's best to refer out. Keep in mind that even the appearance of bias can damage your credibility with clients and colleagues. Know when to recuse yourself to maintain ethical integrity. And when in doubt, consult your supervisor or code of ethics. These 4 terms, codependency, community development, confidentiality, and conflict of interest, show you both sides of the field: the internal relationships and the external systems. Mastering them means you're not just passing the exam, you're protecting lives, restoring trust, and building something that lasts. Awesome! Let's keep the momentum going. By focusing on what turns a social worker into a lifelong learner and a critical thinker, knowing your core values, practicing cultural competence, sharpening critical thinking, and investing in continued education. These are cornerstones of both real-world practice and exam success. Let's start with something that doesn't end at graduation: continued education. This is your commitment to learning long after you've hung the diploma on the wall. A social worker takes a course on trauma-informed care after noticing more clients are showing signs of PTSD. That one class transforms how they serve every client. The world changes. Research evolves. New methods emerge. Continued education ensures you don't fall behind because your clients can't afford for you to. What's one topic you've been curious to explore more deeply in your practice? Exam tip: CEUs, continuing education units, are often required to renew your license, so know how to earn them. Now, let's talk about the why behind everything we do. Core social work values are the guiding principles of the profession. These include service, social justice, dignity and worth of the person, importance of human relationships, integrity, and competence. A social worker stands before City Council fighting for affordable housing, not just because it's policy, but because justice is their core value. Values keep us grounded when things get messy. They help you choose compassion over judgment and action over apathy. When the world feels chaotic, your values are your anchor. Expect questions that ask you to apply values in real-world dilemmas. Think ethics plus heart. Next up, your brain's superpower: critical thinking. The ability to objectively analyze situations, challenge assumptions, and make sound, informed decisions. A client says they want to quit therapy, but their mood, behavior, and life stressors tell a different story. You pause, analyze, and decide to explore deeper before ending services. Every choice you make affects lives. That's why social workers must be more than feelers. We must be thinkers. You suspect child neglect, but there's no hard evidence yet. What's your next step? Analyze, document, consult, and act based on facts, not emotion. Critical thinking is often hidden in exam questions, especially ones with complex case studies. Now here's one of the most important and most misunderstood terms in our field: cultural competence. It's the ability to respectfully and effectively work with people from different cultural backgrounds. You're working with a refugee family who practices different customs, language, and parenting styles. Instead of judging, you learn their story, ask about their traditions, and adapt your approach. That's cultural competence. Every client brings a world with them, and you can't serve someone fully unless you understand where they come from. What's one culture or group you'd like to better understand? Make a plan to learn this week. Expect scenarios where you'll need to demonstrate respect for cultural norms, even if they differ from your own. Cultural competence is not a checkbox, it's a mindset. You've just unlocked 4 terms that form the foundation of wise, ethical, and inclusive social work. This field isn't just about having the right answers. It's about asking the right questions, growing daily, and seeing every client through the lens of dignity. In the next scene, we'll explore the clinical side, from diagnosis and direct practice to eligibility and ethical dilemmas. Get ready to step into the real-world trenches. This section talks about the front lines of practice, where every conversation counts and every decision has consequences. It is where your skills become strategy. It's where the clinical side of social work comes to life. So let's break down 4 terms that keep you grounded, guided, and client-centered. First up, diagnosis. You've probably heard it in clinical settings, but what does it really mean for social workers? Diagnosis is the process of identifying a client's condition or issue based on careful assessment, interviews, and clinical judgment. A social worker meets with a young adult experiencing mood swings, sleep issues, and loss of interest in daily life. Through assessment, the worker recognizes the signs of major depressive disorder and refers them to a mental health specialist for a full diagnosis and treatment. The right diagnosis guides the right intervention. Without it, you're just guessing. And clients deserve more than that. Know the difference between diagnosing with support, e.g., under supervision or with an LCSW, versus making assumptions outside your scope. Now let's talk about where the magic happens. Direct practice. This is where you connect face-to-face, heart-to-heart. Direct practice refers to hands-on interaction with clients, providing services like counseling, therapy, or crisis intervention. You hold weekly sessions with a teenager battling anxiety. You build rapport, teach coping skills, and celebrate their progress over time. That's direct practice in motion. It's where trust is built, breakthroughs happen, and transformation begins. What kind of direct practice would excite you most? Child welfare, mental health, school-based services. Watch for case studies describing client interactions. Direct practice is the heart of the helping relationship. This next one is less emotional, but equally critical. Eligibility criteria. Because not every resource is available to everyone. These are the specific conditions a client must meet to receive a service, benefit, or program. A single mom applies for a housing voucher. The social worker checks her income level, number of dependents, and employment status to confirm eligibility before submitting the application. This matters because resources are limited. These criteria ensure services go where they're truly needed, fairly and efficiently. A client earns just above the poverty line, but is caring for multiple dependents. Are they eligible for SNAP? We can say it depends on total household income, not just the individual's salary. Read questions carefully. Eligibility often includes multiple conditions, not just one. Now, here's where your values and decision-making are put to the test. Ethical practice dilemmas. These are situations where two or more ethical principles are in conflict, and you must choose the most responsible path. A teen confides in you about self-harming, but begs you not to tell their parents. You're torn between confidentiality and the duty to protect. What do? You assess the risk, consult your supervisor, and refer to the NOSW Code of Ethics to guide your action. You won't always face black and white decisions. Real practice happens in the gray zones. What would you do if a client asked you to keep something secret that puts them at risk? In the exam, expect questions where all options sound good. Your job is to choose the one that reflects ethical standards over personal feelings. You've just uncovered the core of what it means to serve wisely, diagnosing carefully, practicing directly, allocating resources fairly, and making ethical calls when the path isn't clear. These aren't just technical skills, they are sacred responsibilities, and you are being equipped to carry them well. You've got the heart. Now let's train your eye. This part is all about precision, knowing what works, where you fit, and how to measure change. We'll cover evidence-based practice, field of practice, functional assessments, and the global assessment of functioning. These terms help you target your efforts, tailor your approach, and track your client's growth. Let's kick off with the gold standard, evidence-based practice, EBP. EBP is the integration of three things: the best available research, your professional expertise, and the client's preferences. A client presents with anxiety. Based on research, you choose cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. You also adapt your methods based on the client's personality and feedback. Evidence-based practice isn't guessing. It's using proof and people skills to create results. When in doubt, choose the option that says research-supported or evidence-based. What are the 3 pillars of EBP? We can mention research, clinical experience, client preferences.